This
emerged as a core
conference will now be
business.
recorded.
Business analyst has emerged as a very core business practice at the moment. It has become a very vital link between the any companies, any firm's IT capabilities and its business objectives. Skilled business analysts contribute to the profitability of any companies, irrespective of the size, whether they be a small or large. In most of the industries. Business analyst training can help you to seize opportunities presented by a rapidly changing marketplace by preparing you with the skills a modern organization need to remain competitive. Okay. It's like the first major role of any business analyst is a liaising the between the client and the internal technical team. We can call either them as a client, internal stakeholders. Many of the product based company, uh, the client will be internally. Either you will be reporting or either you will be liaising with the customer service team and the technical team.
Okay.
The reason the reason BA has evolved is, for example, the technical person may not be able to understand the business perspective, business process. They will be finding it difficult to understand the business process. So the crucial role of the business analyst is to understand the process, capture the requirements of any client or the company or the stakeholders, and put it in a right documentation, communicate with the IT teams, technical IT teams. This is the bottom line or the basic role of business analyst.
Okay.
So before getting into the core area, I will. It's like I have already explained a small history, but I will explain the small timeline also. It's like in 1980s, at the time the IT company started, there was a huge improvements were made in the world of IT in terms of at the time the data storage IT companies was in a boom, like enhanced and graphical at the time. That was the time when GUI was created, which created a boom in computer technology. However, the difference in expertise between business managers and IT technicians began to show as when communicating they couldn't understand what each other were saying. Business people will be so focused, business means I'm saying clients will be so focused on their business process, and the technical team will be so focused on the technical works involved in the process. So they had a very big difficulty in communicating each other's requirements.
Okay.
So initially, during the time the business analyst term was not coined. Initially, they were called in the name of system analyst. So the due to the lack of business operation, like I said, this was not practical or ideal due to the lack of business operation understanding. Therefore, the business analyst role was experienced much development over the past 2 decades in accordance with the technological advancements. Primarily, it is clear that IT solution needed to be compelled by business requirements. Business changes needed to be reflected in the IT, and IT demands needed this definition. Please be online, just a second. Okay. So I would say in an organization, out of there are plenty of important roles are there. Say you can call them delivery managers, project managers, technical team, QA, being a QA, you know how crucial QA team is also. But out of all, the most crucial person is business analyst. Project manager will be so focused on following the breaking up the work, they extracting the work from the team, and developers will be so focused only on the module which they are working. They lack bigger understanding. They find they may find it very difficult to understand the holistic view of the business process. QA team, like any, like I hope you know, it's like they'll be following the documentation given, either user stories or the requirements given by the business analyst, and just following as per the documentation. So out of all, only BA has the full understanding of the project in and out of the requirements, proper requirements, how the project is required, how the application should be delivered. So this is where the BA comes to the play. So there are, at the moment, there are plenty of startups globally. There every day they are starting, every new apps are being created, and every major healthcare sector, telecom, banking sectors wants to come up with a new application for the existing applications. They might be using a legacy application. They with the change of new technologies, they want to incorporate the new technologies in their to replace their existing application. At the time, the BA comes to the role. So they have to understand the proper requirements of the existing companies or their applications or the new applications, and communicate the same requirement with the technical team, and extract the work, validate the work, and deliver it. This is the purpose of this is why the business analyst role is so crucial. You might be asking why business analyst. So why not maybe there is some there may be a question. It's like still a project manager will be having a decent understanding of the project. So this is like initially, like I said, it's someone who analyzes an organization or business domain and documents its business or process, accessing the business existing business model of an organization, and how the existing business model can be integrated with the existing technology. So like I said, it's a liaising between the business problems and the technical solutions. Here business problem can be anything about business systems, for example the model, process, or the method. The technology solution can be the use of technological architecture, tools, or software application. So their primary work involves analyze, transform, and ultimately resolve the business problems with the help of new technology. So I would like, before getting into that, I would like to give a small explanation with the current technology. It's like, for example, you know, you might have heard about Walmart, you might have heard about other bigger banking organization like Barclays. So they are so focused into their core business where they don't have enough exposure to understand the new technologies available. Some companies want to automate. You might have seen in banking there are plenty of data entry jobs are there.
Mhm.
Every company wants to cut down their running cost, operational cost. So they have absolutely no idea what kind of automation softwares are available, what automation softwares are capable of. All they all their objective, the scope would be reduce the running cost by 30% or 20% or 40%. So here comes, it's like they'll be approaching any service-based company and asking for a solution to cut down the running cost. Here the business BA, I'll be calling from here on, I'll be calling business analyst as BA. So
Okay.
the BA will be analyzing the existing process. They have to personally audit the the architecture of a company where the automation can be implemented, and they have to calculate the hours or the running cost, how much it can be cut down with the implementation of automation software. So it's like this is where they have to understand the company's architecture. So before getting into it, I will explain the steps involved in business analyst. This is not.
BA. So BA should also have the technical knowledge, right? For example, when he's acting as a bridge between the client and the company who works, who does all the software things, he has to know some kind of some kind of technical things. Otherwise, he might give the commitment that we'll be able to automate it, and the software developers and the testers will not be able to do that. So how is that working? Will he confirm with the software developers and testers that it can be automated? Then tell them that we'll be on the project, or how does it work?
Definitely, this BA will be having a decent understanding of the technology.
Okay,
They are not required to code, or they are not required to sit down in the computer and do automation, but they should be having a decent understanding what types of automation software is available, what software is capable. It's like every application, every automation application has its own pros and cons.
okay,
So this understanding will, this is definitely not required to BAs are not required to know every in-depth knowledge about the automation software, but definitely for longer run, for better performance of a BA, it's like basic understanding would be much more helpful.
okay. I got you.
So it's like a business analyst training recommends. It's one of the core skills of the analyst. Developing technical solution to a business problem or to advance a company's sales effort begins with defining, analyzing, and documenting the recommends. Managing recommends at the project level can help to fulfill the business needs. It's like a BS typically take the lead role while assisting with the business cases, planning and monitoring, eliciting the recommends organization, translating and simplifying the recommends. So these are the major areas where they take the front seat or the lead role.
Okay,
Yeah, as a initial as a being a entry level BA, you would be required to drive the design or review the existing test cases, process change request given by the clients, manage a project scope, like and accept the new changes. So these are the few areas where the entry level BAs will be required to work.
okay.
So yeah, let's get into the steps. So do you see my Excel sheet?
I cannot see. I can.
No, sorry, PPT.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can see the PPT.
so
Yeah.
I have put the orders. This is not the sequence which the BAs follow. The typical sequence would be once the contract gets signed, the BA's role starts by enterprise analysis or enterprise auditing.
Okay,
But I would say even the senior BAs are currently not allowed to enterprise analysis. The thing is, this is the final stage of any a BA. A BA with more than 8 years experience can be an entrepreneur, can be an enterprise architect.
okay.
So this is like this work
So basically, what does
involves.
the term mean?
Sorry.
What is the meaning of the term enterprise analysis?
Enterprise architect. Enterprise analysis is for a bigger projects.
Okay,
In a single line, the client will be giving the recommends.
okay,
Say in automation, the main client will be asking the company to just implement the automation within the organization and give a target of 20 to 25% production cost should be reduced eventually after the implementation.
okay,
Here, the recommend involves the recommend says that the recommend doesn't say what software to be implemented, where should be implemented. So, being a BA, you have to analyze the organization top to bottom, where the automation can be implemented.
Okay.
So none of your technical team will be analyzing the organization's hierarchy. They may not get a chance to audit the roles, audit the works involved. So
Okay.
being a BA, you have to understand where data entry is happening. You cannot implement automation in all sort of data entry works. For
Okay.
example, if there are some areas where data is being collected through writings, at the time maybe the automation software cannot understand the handwritten datas. Though the automation software can read, but it is still in the evolving stage, or it cannot be counted as tangible.
Okay.
So here the knowledge about software will be so helpful. At least the features, you should be knowing the features. It's like OCR is optical character recognition. Will the automation software can implement OCR, that is character recognition. So this is how you should be having at least basic understanding of the. It's like if for example, if your company is following PHP or .NET, you need to know what PHP is capable of. What is the difference between PHP and .NET? Though at the moment, language or platform selection is left to the technical team. It
Okay.
doesn't initially BAs were taking care of it, but at the moment you will be having a exclusive meeting with your project leads or with your technical head before choosing the technology. So but it is definitely, it is a very vital to understand the technology used by your company. This will be outperform your role for better elevation in your role. This will be certainly helpful. Being a QA, it's like you should be knowing what sort of technology you're. It's like if, when you are working in company in Accenture, definitely it might be very helpful to understand what technology they are working. So it's like out of interest, you should be you should be proactive and get to know the pros and cons of the technology, what they are working. So
Yeah.
this is about enterprise analysis, first thing. But I would say certainly I'm 100% sure they won't be allowing entry level or a mid level BAs to take up this enterprise analysis. I would say you will be getting a 5% chance. Maybe thorough auditing will not be allowed, but a few stages they may offer. Your company may offer you to do a certain analysis of particular module. So
Okay.
the BA stage starts with enterprise analysis.
Okay.
So the second step is so first step we have seen IT industry overview and the role of BA. So the first stage of BA is enterprise analysis, and the second one is requirement elicitation. So before that, yeah, that's the second stage is requirement elicitation. This is where your 40% of the work will be involved. So you have to understand the process involved, collect the requirements initially before starting the auditing process, set a agenda, what are the things you want to collect the information for your understanding. Elicitation is a process. So it's like a planning and elicitation go hand in hand for the BAs. This is like a solo work. You'll be collecting information. Sometimes your work involves going through the data shared by the team. So like excessive data analysis is not required, but the patterns, you should be knowing the patterns. The people might be coming up with the reports of the data. Understanding the patterns might be very helpful.
Okay.
So this is about elicitation. The next stage is planning, how to use the collected information, how to put those information in the documentation. That's about planning phase. And the fourth phase is recommend analysis and design. So here the documentation role plays the very crucial role. In documentation, you might be having a question. Of course, you'll be giving the documentation in English. but English is an ambiguous language. There is a chance that development team or QA team can wrongly interpret the data documentation given by you, and sometimes they may not be excited to read a very long or lengthy passage. At the moment, coming up with the interactive, innovative flowchart or line diagrams may be so helpful for the team to understand. So it's like the hierarchy, rather than explaining the company hierarchy in documentation, you can come up with the a decent line diagrams, so that easy for them to follow. So there are different types of designs available. It's like the first option, first thing we call it as structural analysis and design, object oriented analysis and design second, and the new one is agile. Under agile, we call requirements as user stories. You might have heard about user stories.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I think if you have, I think in Accenture, I think they may be following agile system. In agile, user stories are called as the requirements. So, and requirements communication is a meeting where you will be initially during the kickoff project kickoff, you'll be giving before handing over the documentation to the development team. You will be giving a small basic explanation orally. So it's like it doesn't restrict only to the orally, it also includes documentation. So emailing, everything comes under recommends communication. So final thing is, in recommend communication, after the phase of recommend communication, you will be handing over the process to the technical team. From this process, they will be taking care. After completion of the project or the application, you will be, as a BA, you have to mandatorily go through the assessment. You have to excessively assess and validate, has the newly created project satisfy the conditions given in your document, or it satisfies the requirements which you have collected from the organization. So this is another very important stage, in case if anything deviates from the requirement, you as a BA is the person who will be taking the major share of a risk. So it has to be properly validated by the BA before giving it to the delivery manager.
Okay.
So many people have a question: what is the proper qualification for a BA? I would say the proper qualification, that is it's like I'm also from electronics and communication background. It doesn't mean there is no restriction. It's meant only for computer science or only for the IT grads. Any people who have a proper understanding of the business process, who aspire to excel in the business area or understanding of business process, can get into business analyst profession. I would
Okay.
say any fresher can try. Most apt area or the background I would recommend is MBAs. Any MBA graduate can take up the BA career, and experience, the people who have a decent experience in industry and planning to move to IT industry can take up the BA roles. Experience at technical persons who are working in client facing roles can certainly take up the BAs. Yes, BA work involves understanding of user experience, client expectations. These are the areas BAs normally do excessive work. So people who have experience in client facing or planning areas can definitely take up the BA's role. Skills, yeah, the main part is skills required to be a BA. It's like all you need is a proper analytical skills. The most important of any BA is interpersonal and communication skills. This is the 90%. This a person who has a very good communication can certainly take up BA profession. And knowledge of ITS, DLC, software development lifecycle, certainly it will really help to excel in the career. So it's like during the communication or documentation process, solid knowledge of SDLC will help you to uh, put up a better documentation. Domain and functional knowledge, yes, this also plays a very important role. So understanding of a healthcare process, understanding of insurance in and out 360-degree understanding of insurance will easily get you land you a job. There are plenty of domains available in the IT industry: telecom, banking, insurance, learning. So it's like you are not required to know the domain knowledge of every domains available or industries available. Any specific good in-depth knowledge in particular domain is added advantage to get into any jobs. So the next slide is career path. Okay, so some many people have a question. What, for example, being a developer, after 2 3 years you become a senior developer, and after 5 years there is a more chance you can be a TL. Definitely excelling in TL or team leader position will fetch you a project manager job also. The career path in business analyst is I would say consulting. Once after you successfully complete 4 to 5 years, there is a more chance you can move into consulting. Consulting being as you live in America, you will be definitely seeing the potential of consulting. One of the very best paid jobs in the earth, I would say, consulting. So enterprise architect, another one of the very best paid jobs. Hardly there is a very huge demand in auditing enterprise architecture. There is no enough people available at the moment for this position. Definitely the most it's like the best perk of being a BA is getting into enterprise architect. Project management, definitely there is a huge scope. Business, it's like I would say before getting into project management, added advantage, people who completes PMP certifications, definitely they can be a project management, they can get into project management. Business development, continue to grow as a business analyst. These are the career paths available for new BAs. Certifications, from my knowledge, I would say, from my experience, I have seen 90% of the existing BAs are not certified. Uh, Certification is not required, and companies don't expect candidates to be certified. But getting certification is certainly added advantage for any new candidates. There are three different types of certifications available. Entry certificate in business analyst, I think it costs something around $60. Anyone can take up. Anyone, it's like with a base. After a year, I would say, BAs with 1 year experience can take up the entry certificate in business analysis. And the next certificate is certification of capability in business analysis. So any mid-level business analyst can take up the second CCBA. CBAP will definitely fetch a better job with better pay, but it's meant not for everyone or for not for entry level people. This is bit hard nut to crack. CBAP. It needs decent preparation. uh, yeah, maybe like after 2 3 years you can take up the prerequisite of the courses. This is not meant for everyone. This is meant only for the people who who are in BA role. It's like other professions are not at the moment allowed to take up these certifications. This is exclusively only for BAs, that too with some couple of years experience. This is about the list of certifications available. Before that, let me explain this. Okay. These all certifications are overseen by an organization called IIB Yay. They are the people who takes care of the business analyst. They create a protocol. They create what are the steps involved. They share the new ideas. So I will explain about IIBA also. So the full form for IIBA is International Institute of Business Analysis. It's an association for business analyst which offers guidance for the professional peoples. And they have currently every year they release a guide, and the guide name is BABOK, or we call it as Babok. So the book is the we normally we say it's a Bible for any aspiring BAs. So the full form for BABOK is Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. It's
Okay.
like it's a globally recognized standard for the practice of business analysis, or in a short, you can call it as a BA guide. I
Okay.
think it would cost around $60. Even they have a book cracking CBAP, CBAP, and CCBA. It's about the certifications and the career paths, the role of BS in any IT organization. So the life cycle of BAs. This is the sample life cycle which I have created. Defining the scope of business area, elicit the requirements, analyze and document requirements for your technical team, communicate the same document which was created by you with the technical team, identify solutions. It's like this is more of monitoring. You have to definitely there will be a plenty of different types of solutions available. For example, for automation, there are even using Selenium, you can automate things, but that's not that much user friendly. That cannot be implemented in many of the applications, and most importantly, cost involves. For example, there may be some sophisticated tools available, but due to the restriction of the client budget, you may not be able to choose the particular applications of the softwares. So there are plenty of solutions available, but choosing the solution apt, or there definitely any project will be coming up with the constraints, solutions supporting the constraints. You have to choose that particular path after consulting with the technical team, and the final phase is verifying solution meets the requirements. So these are the normal life cycle of
So,
any.
coming to the illicit requirement, that means drawing the uh, drawing the requirements needed by client, right? Or
That comes yes, that's also part of
the MS
drawing
Visual
the
Studio
record.
tool to draw the things, something like that.
Exactly, that's right.
Okay, I got you.
Like I would say more of elicitation is educating yourself with the requirements, with the proper requirements. It's like capturing right. It's a the right term would be capturing the requirements in eliciting. It's like
Okay,
the initial diagrams are meant for you for your understanding,
okay,
and how you present the same flow chart in the documentation is matters.
okay, I got you.
So the other roles are this is I have put in another slide to explain what are the roles a BA can be part of. So the stage starts from planning. From this planning, assess to be scenario, current scenario, identify the gap analysis, recommends gathering, come up with the multiple solution. It doesn't mean that solution. You have to initially come up with the solution.
Okay,
There is nothing wrong. The solution can deviate from the existing setup, or that doesn't require to be correct, but definitely you are required to come up with basic solution before taking up with the technical team. Defining the scope of the optimum solution. Definitely you'll be coming up with one solution, technical team will be having an alternate solution. So combination of both technical and your solution has to be optimal for the budget, for other parameters also. Sometimes the client may be using legacy tools, so you may come up with some innovative solution. The constraint may be legacy tools. So these are the areas where you have to compromise yourself with optimal solutions. Getting the sign off, it's like the major till I have seen many entry level BAs in my previous organization. The problem what they do is, the problem with the entry people or the lack of experiences, once after collecting the requirements, before sharing the same requirement with your technical team, you need to validate, you need to confirm with the stakeholders. This is more important. It's like I had a chance of working with SBI earlier. So I was the senior BA at the moment, but I had I had two other junior BAs also. It's like they will be collecting the requirements. I didn't have any issues. The problem, the major problem, what they did is, without getting confirmation from the client, they will be sharing it with the technical team.
Okay.
So it's like definitely there will be deviation after collecting the requirements. You'll be thinking in a very different perspective. Client may be having a completely different expectations. So getting an approval from the client will save your there is a, you can outshine your job, or you can work confidently. So
Okay.
that's one of the, it's like documentation. Most I would say, in my experience, I have seen the technical team don't have enough patience to go through the whole of documentation. To be
Okay.
in safer side, you have to come up with the proper A to Z in depth. Though the matter, though the content, though the recommends may be very tiny, or may not be very significantly value for the technical team, you have to put up every single information expected by the client in the documentation. And it's like I'm not sure whether the organization will allow you to get verification from the client, but it's the most important thing. It will save time, resources for both the parties. So this is the getting the sign off from the stakeholders. Software document preparation. Software document preparation involves two different works. One is FRD and the BRD. FRD is functional recommend document. BRD is business recommend document. Once after completion of your recommend gathering, you have to come up with the BRD, business recommend document, which in the perspective of the client. And FRD is a document which will be prepared from the perspective of your technical team. So
Okay.
these are the two major documents. 90% you will be working in this FRD and BRD. In case if you get a chance to work with the product-based company, you may not be even be working in BRD or FRD. You will be fully 100% working only with the user stories, and your internal stakeholders will be your customer service team. Every time when your customer service team interact with the customers, there will be minor bugs or the lacking of any features in your application. So they would be the front face of the company. You would be liaising or bridging between the customer service team and the technical team. You will be collecting the requirements from them. You have to audit it. You have to accept. They will be coming up with the enhancements of the existing tool. You have to accept it. So a few things may be out of scope, so we have to segregate which is feasible. There comes the it's like, if you have a very good understanding of your product, definitely you can easily segregate which is scope and which is out of scope.
Okay.
So the current trend is, in most of the companies, BAs are called as product owner or product manager for the product based company. So
Okay.
this is the cool term used in most of the companies. So it's like I would say it's like completely different work. Working, I have worked in both product based company and with service based company. In service based company, all you have to do is coming up with the BRD and FRD document. It's relatively easy working on these two documents. You have to understand the business. put in the business proper expectation. You don't need to even jot down the technical. You have to, of course, you have to jot down the technical requirements, but you have a freedom not to choose the software, not to choose the language, not to choose the infrastructure. Everything will be taken care by the technical architect. Initially, BAs were doing the technical architect role also, but these scopes comes are taken care by technical architects. In
Okay.
software, in product based company, you have to look into every the role of BA is more crucial here, very crucial, and it's a back-breaking job in when working in the product based company. So everything it's like the list of fields. What would be the hover state when you hover mouse over particular field? What would be the state? Every single minute actions has to be put down in the user story or in the requirements. So it's much more challenging to work in the product-based company than service-based companies.
Okay. I have a small
So that sorry,
I have a small doubt. Can I answer?
yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. See, basically, you told me that SBI is one of the client, and maybe the software is handled by the TCS company. So SBI wants to come up with some new feature like opening the bank online itself. Like you can speak with the instead of coming to the office, instead of coming to the bank, the customer can speak with the agent through video call and sort out his issue. So if SBI want to come up with some new features, so how does that working? So one of the representative from SBI, like I want to know what basically goes behind the scene. Like one of the SBI concerned, the manager or whatever, the head team will speak with the TCS concerned person, or how does it work? I want to know the behind the scenes what will happen.
Definitely. I have prepared the slides for that process also.
Okay, fine. Then it's fine.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I will explain you. But it's a very interesting question. Definitely, I will explain you. See,
Yeah.
the normal process, the normal life cycle of any SDLC is initially in the marketing. The service-based company are not restricted to particular technology. They are open to accept any kind of challenges, any kind of software projects. So the marketing team, what they does is they will accept irrespective of the requirements. They don't do excessive analysis of the requirements. They just accept it. All they have to it's a target based role, right? So they will be irrespective of the requirements, they will accept it. Once the contract gets signed, here the BA comes to the play. The right process I tilted how I do is the company, say SBI is the client,
Okay.
the SBI will be assigning the technical team one dedicated person, the person who knows in and out about the process followed in SBI.
Okay.
But that you may be asked to work only with that particular people, but that's not the right way of working. Okay, recommend collection involves having a proper long lengthy discussion with that particular assigned role, that you will be assigned one person from where you can collect the recommends. But that's not, you shouldn't be restrict only with the person. You
Yeah.
should go through the, it's like I would say you do a survey with other there are many multiple employees involved in the day-to-day action of day-to-day working of SBA. You need to have a chat with them, you need to speak with the clerk what exact problem they are facing while creating, just understand. For in case if you really want to open a bank, and the first thing would be you'll be approaching the peon, you'll be asking what is the process involved in creating a new account in SBA. Then he'll be pointing a fingers towards some clerk or any reception girl or a reception person. You'll be again asking the same question to them. What is the process involved in opening a new account to this branch? What they do is they'll be asking you to meet the manager, and the manager will be handing you over the document.
Okay.
So you need to do a survey. This is the right process. Most of the entry level people do not do this kind of. In case if you really want to be one of the very best BA, you need to do interview with every department people. What exact problem they are facing? How come you can address this problem in software development phase?
Yes.
And you need to interact with the customer who creates who intends to create a new account with SBI. They face lot of difficulty in submitting document. They don't have understanding what documents to be submitted, what form of documents to be submitted. Does the document request attestation? There are different types of ID proofs involved, address proofs involved. Are they really good enough to type in the documents? This has to be you need to, as a good BA, these are the general best practices, but due to the laziness, due to for various reasons, many people don't follow these kind of processes. The more you interact with multiple people, you can come up you will be knowing the real challenges. See this, if you go to the QA or the development team, they have absolutely no knowledge. They cannot stand in the shoes of a customer.
Okay.
Once after delivering the project, unexpected senior scenarios will be arising unexpectedly. Though this tool may be bug free, the end user will be playing it in multiple roles. It's like it's up to the creativity. A single tool can be used in multiple ways. For example, the PowerPoint, initially they didn't expect it to include images. It was literally nothing at the time. It was only thing what we maximum we can do is just typing in the documents, typing in the information. Later stage, we can include icons, interactive signs, animations can be easily incorporated. So it's like as per the flexibility of the customers, the tool is being upgraded. This the first thing BA should be doing is interact with the customers personally. So there you will be knowing the real challenges involved. This is in case the question is related to SBA. Hope I have addressed the
Yeah.
data collection stage.
Yeah.
So and software document preparation, and I will complete this slide and I will go to a few more explanation about the roles involved in
Okay, fine.
BAs. Yeah, test case preparation. Most BAs I have seen is they don't get involved in test case preparation. I think hope you know about writing test cases. So
Yes.
once the test cases are written, they will be submitting the document to QA head. I would say the BA have access to it proactively. I would say at least during the initial stages of your career, you have to go through the test cases prepared by the team. You can come up with the improvisation. Because during the data collection stage, you might have seen multiple people with multiple challenges. You have to see whether the test cases address those things also. So knowledge transfer to developers. So you have to explain for what is the purpose we are working on that particular requirements. The banks every time it's like one BA cannot handle the whole of the project. In case of a service industry, if there is going to be a very bigger, lengthy, longer duration projects, one people cannot be able to take care of it.
Okay.
So normally BAs will be assigned work to improve or enhance the existing application with the newly required features. So you have to explain what that particular feature can help for the customers and how it will help the application to simplify the tasks. This is about knowledge transfer to developers. So the more the developers are aware about the exclusive feature, they can come up with better solutions. That's the more I would say uh, you should give excessive knowledge about the process or the new enhancement or the it's like whole of the team have to be in the same page for better delivery. So this is also very important. Knowledge transfer to developers, verification of the solution we have already discussed about it. Support after implementation, definitely once after the deployment, there will be some few issues the client will be facing. So you have to be the one point contact for getting the feedback of the deployment, and in case if they require additional support, you will be supposed to do the implementation. Again, the client will be coming up with the new requirements, new features. So then the life cycle starts planning, followed same thing again and again. Okay, this is about enterprise analysis. Let me get until date. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, initially I explained you about the recommend planning. So the recommend planning involves understanding the team roles of for the project, select recommend activities, estimate recommend activities, scope management, change management, risk management. So you have to understand what your uh, team is capable of. Sometimes the client may be coming up with a very big work, but you will be limited with the very limited resources. So at the time you need to understand which what your team is capable of. That's the reason we normally ask the entry level BAs to know the domain, to have excessive domain knowledge or the platform knowledge. So not excessive, definitely. I'm sorry to use that word excessive. It's like a holistic view is mandatory for any BAs. Select recommends activities, what that recommend is capable of, estimate the recommends, what duration it will, a rough estimation. Definitely BAs are so poor. I have seen every time the estimation fails, every time when a BAs cannot because some works, for example, a small search, for example, implementing a search within a page may sound easy, but there are plenty of challenges involved. Sometimes the search requires JavaScript to implement, sometimes a PHP to implement. A PHP have a lot of drawback in implementing a search. It may take 2 to 3 seconds to fetch the results. While using JavaScript, instantly, immediately you can see the results. So at the time while coming up with the recommends, BAs might not be aware what sort of because in a single page multiple technologies will be used. Sometimes they will be using Ajax to easily pull the information. So estimation basic, so definitely once you collect the recommends, the client will be expecting what would be the estimate tentative duration to complete the process. So you have to be roughly approximately you have to give up the estimation. So
Okay.
that's estimation, recommend analysis, scope management. What is the scope of that project? It is whether it is can be done or cannot or out of scope. Change management. Definitely in Agile, the one advantage of using Agile is while working on the project, though no company, no BAs don't like to include new changes while when the process, when the technical work is happening. But definitely client will be changing their requirements occasionally, frequently, many clients. So you should be flexible enough to accept the change in the project. So this is one challenging area where the entry level people will be struggling at the moment. Once you hand over the document to the technical team, they will be even hesitate to accept the change. And I would say do not encourage any clients to come up with the changes. So because it affects the process, some changes cannot be even implemented. So this has to be get confirmed from the technical team before accepting any new changes. Risk management, yes, you have to look into the risk management. What if the technical the resources is not capable of delivering it? What if we unable to deliver it on time? What if your technical team deviates from the recommends? What if you have collected the wrong recommends? So there are plenty of risk involved in recommends planning. Recommend elicitation, you have to come up with the plenty of models available. Definitely in future sessions I will be explaining the different types of tools, different types of diagrams, UML charts. There are plenty of different charts available. So I will give you the models.
Okay.
So elicitation, this is the one major area fully you will be into it. So recommend analysis, depending upon the organization, depending upon the setup of your organization, you'll be using data flow diagrams, UML diagrams, user stories, swim lanes, process modeling. When you're working in data analysis projects, you have to need at least basic understanding of the modelings, process modelings, data modeling charts. Agile, when you're working with agile environment, you have to come up with the user stories. When you're working with object oriented analysis and design projects, you have definitely everything in example for object oriented analysis and design as e-commerce projects. For easy explanation for your developers, you have to, for every process you have to come up with the UML diagrams. There are plenty of algorithms, conditions involved while working or drawing with UML diagrams. In case if you get a chance to work with service-based companies, UML diagrams will be so handy, so helpful, easy to articulate your recommends to the team. Structural data flow diagrams are pretty easy. Definitely I will give explanation in future.
Okay.
So recommend communication plan, artifacts, modes of communications, email modes, documentation modes, diagram modes, everything, whatever document you are preparing, that's a mode of communications. So solution assessment and validation, you have to go through the tools or the recommends which you have handed it over to the technical team. So enterprise analysis. So that's it for the day. So I would say the most coolest job in the IT profession is BA, and that's I have communicated. I have checked with many people. Everyone's dream job is BA, because that's dream job for any person. Any person with a good communication, definitely they have a goal for taking the business analyst role. So you will be understanding the business. There is a more career scope for any BAs. So this is a Q&A time, question time. In case if you have any questions with the today's session, if you have any questions related to BA, definitely you can shoot up.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I asked you many questions.
Yeah, definitely there will be more interesting areas in future we will be covering. So
Okay.
if you have any questions, you can ask me now. And paying wise, I would say one of the very best paid jobs after in an IT project, after a project manager and delivery manager, BAs are the one of the very best paid jobs in US. On an average, 1 year experienced BAs can easily fetch a minimum pay of 90,000 USD, just like that, a minimum pay.
I'm good.
Any company, even startup, should be ready to pay $90,000, just like that. Otherwise, in India, also one of the very best paid jobs. I don't have any problem. Um, it's like it's like there is a very less number of BAs at the moment. For example, even if very CMM level 5 companies, if they advertise any new jobs in LinkedIn, I could see even after 10 days only hardly 25 people, 25 BAs, eligible BAs are able to apply. There are tons and tons of opportunities with the new startups, with the new projects, with every SMEs companies wants to implement with the new softwares. There is a huge demand for BAs. So yeah, I'm 100% sure you will be facing difficulty to get into BAs, because even the startup will be asking for some decent experience. So, but the best advice I would give is initially you should be open to accept any intern position also, at least for 6 months. Once you get into 6 months job, you can demand good salary, but there will be some challenges you'll be facing. Once you get into a DA, life is always good.
Okay.
Yeah. I would welcome any questions. Any questions? There is something out of questions related to technical part also you can ask me.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I asked you
Yeah.
many
All
questions.
right.
Yeah, I got enough knowledge.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, can we wind up this session for the day, or
Yes, we are
yeah?
good. Yeah, we can wind up.
Hi, Mani. Are you there? Mani?
Yes, yes, Prem. Yes,
In
I am
case
there.
if there is any additional questions, if you collect any feedback from the Mr. Monish, you can
Yes,
share it with me
yes.
later.
After session, I will get feedback from Monish
Sure.
and team, and I will get back to you.
Monish, am I right? Your name?
Yeah, Monish. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Monish. Yeah, Monish. Yeah. Thanks. Take care. Bye. Good night.
Thank you,
I'm
Monish.
signing out now. Yep. In case if you have any questions, you can share it with Mani. I will have a chat with him. Thanks. Bye.
Mani, good morning.
Good morning, Monish.
Hmm.
Yeah, tell me, Monish, how is the session?
Yeah, it went well. I got an overview of how what is the role of BA in an IT organization? And I asked him many doubts. He was able to answer all to many.
You can ask many doubts. That is the reason. See, it's not learning. It's not just we are telling. You have to ask many questions. Then
Yeah, I'm
only,
asking him. Yeah,
uh, then only that will be a more interaction. Then we can solve your solutions. That's right.
yeah, I've been asking him. Yeah, he's able to answer all the questions. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Monish. And you can chat in WhatsApp group, or you can mail that regarding that training session. Okay. You can just write a feedback about this demo session. Okay. And send it to me.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Monish. Bye.
Bye.